Hello everyone, I am Madison Yates and I will be presenting my macroeconomic prediction presentation covering economic indicators, causes and effects of our economic status, fiscal policy investments, as well as predicting likely future trends in the three core economic indicators. The economic baseline is a starting point to base all future economic changes on. The current GDP growth rate in 2025 is 3% at the end of quarter two. The inflation rate is 2.33%, and the unemployment rate is 4.2% on July 1st, 2025. Gross domestic product is one key economic indicator that gauges the total value of all goods and services produced within a quarter. In 2024 Q3, the GDP rate was 3%, which reflects strong consumer spending on goods and services. In 2024 Q4, the GDP rate dropped slightly to 2.5%, but was still stable and reflected a strong GDP rate. In 2025, Q1 GDP rate was negative 0.5% due to an increase in imports and a decrease in consumer spending, but offset by a decrease in imports and an increase in consumer spending in Q2 when the rate rose to 3%. Another key economic indicator is the unemployment rate. If the unemployment rate is low, this is beneficial for the flow of the economy, while increasing consumer spending, wage growth, and reducing government spending. In 2018 and 2019, the unemployment rates show a stable rate at 3.8 to 3.9%. In 2020, COVID hit and unemployment spiked due to a recession, business closings, and quarantine, leaving the rate at 14.5%. In 2021, the rate dropped to 6.5% as businesses slowly reopened. In 2022 and 2023, the rate was 3.8% due to a hiring surge with a fully recovered market. In 2024 and 2025, the rate rose slightly to 4.1 to 4.2%, which is expected but is still stable. The final key indicator of the economy is the inflation rate. Inflation impacts consumer spending, economic growth, and guides monetary and fiscal policy. As you can see in the graph, the inflation rate was close in 2018 and 2019, being 1.9% to 2.3%. In 2020, inflation dropped to 1.4% due to the pandemic. Less economic flow meant lower inflation rates, fewer jobs, lower wages, and less spending. In 2021, inflation surged due to the high demand for and lack of supply in all aspects. In 2022, inflation was still high, but in the following years, you see the inflation rate balance out and range from 3.4% to 2.7%. It's important to understand how the rise or fall of each indicator can affect not only the following year of that indicator, but also other economic indicators and cause a chain reaction. For example, if a tsunami or hurricane came in and that was a cause, and let's say it dropped the GDP, causing businesses to close, that's another cause. The unemployment rates rose, that's an effect. The supply chain struggled to meet the high needs of recovery materials like hospitals or building supplies, that's a cause, and inflation rates rose, that's an effect. Two legislative frameworks shape the fiscal policy environment: the 2021 Infrastructure and Investment Act and the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act. These were a response to the pandemic in hopes of promoting economic relief and sustainability. Between the two, $1.25 trillion is invested in transportation, energy, water, resources, and broadband sectors. The 2021 Infrastructure and Investment Act allocates $550 billion in new infrastructure investments and programs, and McCann emphasizes how this ranges from improving roads, railroads, and power grids to electric vehicle chargers, airports, and solar panels. While the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act focuses heavily on climate energy-focused programs, including solar panels, wind turbines, and batteries, spending about $276 billion. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the GDP will likely be around 1.8% by 2027. The unemployment rate will likely continue to rise slightly to a rate of 4.5% by 2027, And inflation is predicted to drop to 2% by 2027, as seen on this graph over here. And here are my works cited. Thank you.